In this video, I want to take a look at the before and after pseudo elements, which can be used to insert text or images before or after specified elements. These pseudo elements have been around since CSS2, but Internet Explorer didn't support them until IE8, so they didn't receive much attention from web designers. The page that I have open here links to a specific section in another page. Normally, when you link to an ID or named anchor, the browser jumps straight to the target, but there's not enough content in this page for that to happen. I've already drawn attention to the target section by adding some styles with the target pseudo class, but I'd also like to add an image here before the heading to make it even more obvious that this is the section being linked to. So let's fix that in Dreamweaver. Here are the styles that use the target pseudo class. What I need to do is add another selector which will use both the target pseudo class and the before pseudo element. So it's h2 target and then immediately the before pseudo element. Now I've used a single colon for the before pseudo element. In CSS3 you're meant to use two colons like this. The idea is that a single colon represents a pseudo class and a double colon represents a pseudo element. The problem with this is that older versions of Safari and Firefox and Internet Explorer 8 support only pseudo elements with a single colon. So for backwards compatibility, it's advised to continue using the single colon version of before and after. So I'm going to remove that extra colon and have that as my selector, and then I just need to put in the rules. Generated content with before and after uses the content property. This property accepts a lot of values, but the one that I'm after is for an image, so I need to have URL. Select that, and Dreamweaver automatically opens the Select File dialog box, so I go to my Images folder and select this arrow R PNG. Click OK. I'll put a semicolon at the end of that line. Let's just open it a little bit wider. Now I can continue styling the way in which that image is going to be displayed. So I want the display property, and it's going to be inline block. I want to vertically align it in the middle and give it some padding on the right. So padding right 10 pixels. And I'll just save that and test it in the browser. So let's just link to it. And there we are, we've got that image which has been automatically inserted by the before pseudo element. Because I've associated the before pseudo element with the target pseudo class, this green arrow and background color will appear only when someone accesses this section of the page through a link that contains an identifier fragment at the end of the URL. When the page is loaded directly, these styles are not applied. In this example, I use the content property to display an image, but the property also has the ability to extract the value of an element's attribute and display it as text. Let's just go back to Dreamweaver and choose this page. When creating a print style sheet, it's a good idea to display the URLs of external links with the after pseudo element, and this is how it's done. I need to create an attribute selector which will look for HTTP at the beginning of the href. So this selector looks for links that begin with HTTP, in other words, external links. And then use the after pseudo element and the content property. And the value that I want to use is attr, so let's just select that. And it inserts X there, but what I need to put in there is the name of the attribute that I'm looking for, which is href. Now on its own that will put in the content of the href attribute, but to make it look better I need to add some text around it. So text goes in quotes. I'll have a opening quote, a space, an opening parenthesis, and then a closing quote. And at the end of it, I'll do the same, but the other way round. So I'll have an opening quote, closing parenthesis, and closing quote. So that will put my URL inside a pair of parentheses with a space on either side. And then just a little bit more, make it black, and the font weight normal. Just save that, and then we'll go into live view, and you'll see that what has happened is that it has added the URL at the end of this external link, but this internal link is not affected. So the ability to extract the content of an element's attribute and display it as text is extremely useful with the after pseudo element. Unfortunately, the before and after pseudo elements can't be applied to images. It would be very convenient to be able to generate image captions from the alt or title attributes of an image, but you can't do that, unfortunately. There are proposals for adding a new outside pseudo element that would be capable of doing it, but it's low down on the CSS working group's list of priorities, so it'll be quite a few years before that happens.